What is going on, guys? My name is Bradley with DoublySports, bringing you a brand new episode of our Sleepers, Studs, and Stacks. And now this is for NFL Week 4 of the 2020 NFL season. There's a lot of injury news to get to, lots of things happening, but it's going to really cause a lot of changes in your lineup, probably. Now, we're not going to be going over the week that was. You can kind of see it for yourself, but we'll always be a little bit transparent, so I'm just going to gloss over it. We had some good calls and some bad calls last week. Now, if you follow us over on Patreon, patreon.com/DoublySports, we're giving you our starting 5 each and every week. That is 5 essential players that we put into our base lineup. I only make 1 or 2 alterations to that lineup, really. Every single week, I enter a lot of double ups, a lot of 50-50s, so that's my foundation. It has a high floor and decent ceiling. Now, with that starting 5, we put out a player pool. And for that player pool last week, we created a couple of possible lineups for you right there in the Patreon post. And the second one that we created with Kyle Murray and a whole slew of successful wide receivers that absolutely went off, like Tyler Lockett, put up over 160 points, allowing you to cash in every single 50-50 or double up in a lot of the bigger tournaments that you would have been in. If you're interested in that, head over to Patreon, again, patreon.com/DoublySports. Now let's get into the sleepers. These are the low-price guys under $5,500 that we expect to have a big weekend. A lot of it's going to be based off of the playing time and target shares that they've seen in recent weeks, and we anticipate them having going into Week 4. Now, there's been a ton of injuries heading into this week. Just to go over a few, Cam Newton, that just got announced. COVID-19. Unfortunately, Cam, please get well. I love Cam Newton. I really hope he gets healthy. Henry Ruggs from Las Vegas, out. Michael Thomas, out. Raheem Mostert, out. Cam Akers, out. Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, Arcega-Whiteside. All of those guys are out for the Philadelphia Eagles. Mike Williams from the Chargers, out. DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, game time decision. Joe Mixon, questionable. On the defensive side of the ball, Cleveland, their defensive backs, Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams, will both be missing against Dallas. Cardinals, Budda Baker, Dre Kirkpatrick, and Devon Kennard, the linebacker. All of them are either out or unlikely to play against Carolina. For the Saints, Marshawn Lattimore and Janoris Jenkins. Both of these guys are out against Detroit. So if you're looking at something that you want to have special that maybe not a lot of guys are keeping an eye on, Dallas, they're going to put up a lot of points. But Carolina and Detroit, a lot of bargain plays that you can get there. I didn't write this down because I want to make sure that you're listening. So, the sleepers. We're starting it off with Myles Gaskin at $5,000 against Seattle. He's leading the teams in carries, and he has seen multiple targets from the backfield. I expect Miami to be playing from behind a lot in this game. Myles Gaskin has seen a lot of targets come his way, and I absolutely love this at sub $5,500. $5,000 for Myles Gaskin is a bargain this week. The Seattle defense is very good, but he's going to have the usage. Robbie Anderson at $5,400 going up against Arizona. I mentioned it just a minute ago. There's a lot of injuries in the back 7 of this Arizona defense. So, Robbie Anderson at $5,400 in a game where if DeAndre Hopkins plays, Carolina is going to have to put up a lot of points against the Cardinals. I can see him popping off. Keep in mind, he's one of only 3 wide receivers to have 2 100-yard games this season. I think he's going to have to take some shots. T. Higgins at $4,500 against Jacksonville. 6 targets week 2, 9 targets week 3, and he led the team in snaps week 3 and was second in snaps actually from the wide receivers in week 2. I think only 3 shy of Tyler Boyd. T. Higgins, $4,500, really has to develop something with Joe Burrow. In that same game, Keelan Cole across the street, $4,500 against the Bengals. Not sure what implications DJ Chark coming back has. Maybe DJ Chark is still feeling the effects of his injuries with his, I think it was back. But Keelan Cole, $4,500. If Cincinnati's able to put up some points, Jacksonville's going to have to throw it. It's going to come DJ Chark, Keelan Cole, or James Robinson out of the backfield. And finally, more to watch, Chris Thompson. Just mentioned him, or James Robinson, I should say. I mentioned Chris Thompson. If they are playing from behind, Chris Thompson could be that catching back against Cincinnati. David Johnson against Minnesota, a really terrible Minnesota Vikings defense. I think David Johnson could be in for a very good game. Sammy Watkins against New England. Hunter Renfrow going up against Buffalo. Buffalo surprisingly not that great against the pass thus far in the season. I think they're 25th in the league in terms of passing yards allowed. Henry Ruggs is out, so that is going to let the defense kind of play in a little bit, but Hunter Renfrow, we all know, he is great at just finding the zone, finding the soft spots in the defense, catching the ball, and falling over. Not having Henry Ruggs kind of hurts it a little bit, but I think it's still a great play. I think he had 9 targets last week. And finally, Brandon Cooks against Minnesota. I mentioned it. Minnesota, absolutely terrible. Second in the team in snaps, second in targets, but third in the pricing in terms of Draftkings behind Will Fuller and Randall Cobb. Brandon Cooks could be a very good play as long as that front offensive line can hold up against the Minnesota front. Now our studs. Although these guys are expensive, you have to have some of them in your lineup. I always say optimally, we want to get 4 times the points per $1,000 spent. So $10,000, I'm hoping to get 40 points. No one on the slate's $10,000. But if they're $5,000, you want to get 20 points. That's optimal. 3 times is still just as good. So, Alvin Kamara, 8,000 going up against the Detroit Lions. In another game where Michael Thomas will miss. We saw Alvin Kamara tear it up last weekend with 37 points he put up. Now, you face a really bad Lions defense. High volume, high yardage incoming for Alvin Kamara. A lot of touches. Amari Cooper, I talked about how banged up this Cleveland Browns defense is. He is far too cheap for the amount of targets that he's receiving. 12 per game. I think his low end on the season is 9, and last week was his high end with 14. Amari Cooper at 6,700. The wide receivers are very well priced this week. With that being said, you're able to go get a top dollar quarterback. Russell Wilson, $7,800 against Miami. Now, everyone says, but Bradley, what about the fear of them getting up early? No, I don't know if you've seen the Seattle Seahawks games this year. They don't care. Russell Wilson has 13 touchdown passes this season. I think 4-5-5 or 5-4-4. It's something ridiculous that Russell Wilson is doing. I think Tyler Lockett is going to be the guy in this one. Obviously, DK Metcalf, we say it every week. He is the red zone guy. Tyler Lockett, the higher volume. For him, higher volume is still only 8 to 12 targets, unlike some people like DeAndre Hopkins who could see like 17 targets. Still, Russell Wilson, 7,800, probably the best quarterback play of the week. Stephon Diggs, 6,800 against Las Vegas. I say it every weekend. The Raiders' young pass defense has been terrible in giving up big plays. If healthy, I think Stephon Diggs over the top. Josh Allen's been doing extremely well this year, being a little bit more efficient. Still hasn't been perfectly accurate, but looks a lot better. Ezekiel Elliott, $7,800 against Cleveland. It's basically his lowest price of the season. I think week 1, he was $7,700. But this is where you're going to see monster touches, man. 23 targets for a running back in 3 weeks. You're happy to get 23 targets from a wide receiver in 3 weeks. Plus, you're going to get heavy carries in a game that I expect them to get ahead early in. Ezekiel Elliott is my favorite running back play of the week. Darrell Henderson, Los Angeles Rams, $5,800 against the New York Giants. The Giants are really not that good. Cam Akers is out, leaving Darrell Henderson, who won the job over Malcolm Brown, to lead against a bad New York Giants team. 2 straight 20-point Draftkings games. I think that continues Darrell Henderson to put up another 20 points. And more to watch. James Robinson, another running back from Jacksonville against Cincinnati. I'm not saying to start both. I'm not saying I'm going to start either. Just an interesting situation. If you think the game script is going to fall into Jacksonville maybe getting ahead on a bad Cincinnati defense, James Robinson could be a sneaky play for you. If you think they're going to fall behind, Chris Thompson could be a sneaky play for you. It's probably not going to fit into my lineup. I think there's better options, but maybe you want that play. Mike Davis, $5,700 against Arizona. Another terrific play. 2 consecutive 20-point games, I believe, for Mike Davis going up against Arizona. We mentioned it last week. Carolina, the highest running back usage percentage in the NFL. Mike Davis is there. Even if it fell by 25%, it still puts them as one of the top 10 teams in running back usage. Kenny Golladay, I mentioned the injuries to the New Orleans defensive backs. Kenny Golladay at $6,000 going up against New Orleans. Support for today's episode of Sleeper Studs and Stacks is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They literally obsess over their technology developments to provide you with the best tools for your grooming experience. So it's time to talk about the most important stud, which is you. I don't want you to miss this opportunity, okay? This is 20% off and free shipping. I'm going to tell you how in just a second, because I've long-term struggled with nicks and cuts below the waist. No, don't use a rusty razor. I've made that mistake. It's not pretty, okay? That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer to help guys like me and you. The Manscaped engineering team spent 18 months perfecting the greatest ball trimmer ever and released it, the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0. This third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to the advanced skin-safe technology pioneered by Manscaped. So when I tell you that this thing is premium and a freaking blast, I mean it. It is amazing. You know that sensation when you see the perfect cuts in your lawn outside, like baseball outfield lines? You can do that to yourself. I'm not kidding. The battery lasts 90 minutes for you to take a longer and safer shave. So, trim that junk of yours, get 20% off plus free shipping with code Doubly at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code Doubly, DOUBLY at manscaped.com. Trust me, your balls will thank you. Now our stacks and our defenses of the week. Again, this is NFL Week 4. Things are always changing. This isn't the final say. This isn't the Holy Grail. This isn't the Bible of the weekend. Remember, make your own decisions. It's always good to use as many tools as possible, whether it's what I create, what a lot of DFS providers put out here on YouTube, NFL.com, Roto World, Fantasy Labs, whatever it is you use, Daily Fantasy Insider. There's a lot of options out there. But make your own decisions. It's a lot more fun that way. So we're going to start off our stacks with the Houston Texans at Minnesota Vikings. Deshaun Watson, Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, and David Johnson. I think all of them are in a great spot. The only thing that upsets me is Randall Cobb. Maybe he does steal away a couple targets from Brandon Cooks again this week. It's a little bit riskier, but I think Houston Texans put up a lot of points. If healthy, the Arizona Cardinals with Kyler Murray, Kenyon Drake, and DeAndre Hopkins. He has, I believe, a high ankle sprain or an ankle injury that's kind of bothering him. If he does play, I think he's going to have a field day against either Rasul Douglas or Dante Jackson of the Carolina Panthers defense. And finally, Seattle Seahawks, you can't go wrong with it. Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf will be in for a great day. But I still think the Dallas Cowboys stack is slightly too cheap. Ezekiel Elliott will have his best week of the year. Amari Cooper will have his best week of the year. Thus, Dak Prescott having one of his best weeks of the season. And defenses. Again, we are always looking for turnovers and pressure applied to the quarterback. Tampa Bay against the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers having a few injuries on that offensive line. At $3,400, I expect Tampa Bay's front seven to get a lot of pressure on Justin Herbert. Committed, I believe, 3 or 4 turnovers against the Carolina Panthers last week. I think Tampa Bay can replicate that kind of production. And the Indianapolis Colts against the Nick Foles-led Chicago Bears. I don't love it as much as I did when it was Mitchell Trubisky that was going to be in here, but Indianapolis Colts still doing very good early on in the season. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Make sure you connect with me elsewhere. Ask me questions. I love talking sports anywhere and everywhere, anytime, any team, any sport. Meet me on Twitter at Brad M. Lee, my personal Instagram, BWE, or if you want to talk with the rest of the group, twitter.com/DoublySports. Over on Facebook, just search Doubly Sports, man. We're always talking there, as well as Sunday morning, we put up your best bets. Twitch.tv/DoublySports. We're going to be getting that going in a few weeks, as well as Patreon.com/DoublySports for access to our starting 5 and late bloomers report before we even post it to Facebook. So if you want to get it first, Patreon.com/DoublySports. We appreciate you supporting us. So if you haven't already, smash that like button. Yeah, I said smash that like button because I hate when people say it. Drop a comment. Let me know where you finished, what you finished, who's your lock of the week. Hit that like button and subscribe if you've enjoyed the content. Hopefully the next time that I see you is in the green.